You got it locked on Roadium Radio.
Due to circumstances beyond anyone's control, Dr. Dre is in the motherfucking house. So right about now, and I say, yo Steve, are you with me? ICE, are you with me?
Here's a little something by a nigga like me that never should've let me buy a tape from Steve. Ice Cube would like to play dope shit mixed by Dr. Dre. Since I was a youth, I like COMPTON. Now I like the motherfucking Roadium. Buying a tape or two, that's what the hell I do. You don't like Tony A? Well, fuck you, this is a game, and I'm in it. Ice Cube will fuck you up in a minute with a right, left, right, making you sick. And then you see Tony A is on the mix.
Tony A! Tony A! When you're ready, go.
Welcome back, everyone, to Roadium Radio episode 256. And I want to thank everybody who tuned in, everybody who's on the live chat, everybody who is commenting, everybody who's liking, disliking, everybody who's sharing, everybody who emailed. Much love, much respect to you guys. I want to always continue to let you guys know that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. It is the fans that make us. And I always like to remind artists that without our fans, we ain't shit. It's because of you guys. That's why we're here. So once again, I want to thank all you guys that are on the live chat. Have fun. Talk all the shit you guys want because we're going to have a blast. Other than that, continue to submit your music. Once again, I repeat this over and over to rodiumradio@gmail.com. rodiumradio@gmail.com. Submit your music, a short bio, and some videos. The reason why I always repeat myself is because many times during the week, I still get people that tell me, I love your podcast. How do I submit my music? If you will love my podcast and watch it, I tell you that at the very beginning and at the end. So once again, but I appreciate everybody that wants to come on. But without further ado, my guest is back by popular demand. Many of you were saying, we want part two. We want part two. Hell, I wanted part two. So without further ado, here he is in the flesh, baby. Marvelous Inc. How you doing, brother?
Thank you, bro, for having me. I appreciate you and everybody that requested. Thank you very much. All my respects, always.
You know, I wanted to ask you, did you get any like weird DMs or any unfollows after our last interview?
Nah, if anything, I got more, bro. A lot of people that are subscribed to you. Yeah, they were asked there. I'm here from the Tony A show. I'm here from Roadium Radio. I'm here from Roadium Radio, and you know they just wanted more specifics on the stuff that we were talking about. Mine was positive, but I always want to tell people don't ever focus on the negative. I got like 2 hate messages about having you here as a guest, and it's crazy because nobody talks shit more than a fake profile page. Mm-hmm. You know, you shouldn't have had that guy on. You didn't ask him this. He dodged this question. Mm. You know, I mean. Look, here's my thing. With all due respect to whoever that was, start up your own podcast and invite them, and you ask them. Mm-hmm. You know, so I mean, shit, I'm not going to be able to do everything all in one night. Right. You know, so other than that, man, I hope you enjoyed your last our last sit down because you know what, I really, really enjoy it. Not only do I like talking music, not only do I like talking to actors when they come here, to comedians, but also people like yourself that are very knowledgeable. Whether people agree with you 100% or not, before we get into it, I want to remind people that whatever they hear either you or me say, we challenge them to do their own homework. Facts.
Okay, please do your own homework. So, other than that, how's your weekend going, man? Today's a beautiful Sunday. If I wasn't doing this, I'd be watching basketball right now.
It's going good, bro. It's going good. Chilling with my boys today. And just enjoying myself, you know. It's a beautiful day, you know.
Okay.
Just appreciate it.
A lot of work as far as tattoos.
Yeah, it's over like a lot of work. I wish I had a twin that could help me or somebody that you know that could work alongside me. But people request work from me, so I'm very honored and humbled to be able to do as much as I'm doing right now, just myself, you know. But it does get overwhelming sometimes, you know, when you have like a lot of people just hitting you up, bro.
Yeah, you know, the last time you were here with Bandit.
Right.
And you had said something interesting. You had said, I don't consider myself a tattoo artist. I consider myself a tattooist.
Right.
Okay, well, why is that?
I think because I don't consider myself up to par as a lot of artists that I follow, that I think are legitimate artists. They just like come off the top of the dome with like, you know, they could put, they draw portraits really good, you know.
Okay.
I could do portraits myself, but I don't feel that I could do better than they can. And I want you to be super satisfied with the work that you're getting. So if somebody could do something better than me, I'm going to go ahead and recommend you to get work from them. Because a lot of people say that they could do a lot of things, and their work, it doesn't speak that, bro.
Yeah.
You know, they're just talking out the side of their neck, and they want to get that money. They want to get that money. And I'm not like that. I could care less about that, bro. The one thing I do take off on that I'm kind of conceited in my area is cultura work. I'll work on you all day off the top of my dome.
Oh, damn, that's dope. That's dope. Here's a funny story real quick about a tattoo. One of my son's friends came one time, and he was trying to show off his tattoo. He got a tattoo of first he showed it to me, and it's a tattoo of somebody from their waist up, so you can see their arms, chest, face. So I looked at it, and I was like, what is that? And he goes, you can't tell? And I was like, nah. And he goes, guess. And I was like, and he was showing it to me. Your grandmother looks like an old lady. He goes, no, it's the Joker from Batman. And I was like, holy shit, bro. I said, you're probably gonna have to get your money back, bro.
Yeah.
He was like, no, I think there should not be. I think you should know that's the damn Joker from Batman. So yeah, that's, you know what? I love art, bro. I've just been one that's just never liked it on my body. Like I don't have not one tattoo, but you know. It's all good. Now, you know what? Today, I was watching something earlier, and it made me think of you. So I just kind of wanted to bring it up on what were your thoughts on it, if you have any. December 21st, 2012, the Mayan calendar ends.
Right.
Did you ever have anything on that? Like, because people were saying the world's going to end.
Right.
You know, they saw into the future. They already knew, and nothing happened.
Right. So that calendar, people misconstrue that because either they're not taught right, or they read a book that they just put their, you know, perception on what they think they're reading about. But what that date is not essentially an ending date, but it's a beginning of the second coming. You know, you could call him the Quetzalcoatl, which is the, you know, the Aztec serpent that will come to redeem his people. You know, it's a beginning of the end date. That's what it is. It's not essentially going to end that day. And also another thing is people misconstrued is the sun, the you know, the sun god. The sun that they worship wasn't the sun in the sky that we see. It's the black sun in the hollow earth. That's what they would sacrifice to. So people don't know, you know, the difference.
Wow. Okay. You know, if somebody wanted to ask you, like, where can I get a little bit more information? Because one thing, if you can remember, maybe you could share with us throughout the show and let us know, because some people have said, you know what, I want to know what books I could look into, you know, I mean, I know today we live in a generation of information, bro, where we can Google anything. You can just, you know, the Mayan calendar and everything pops up. You know, when we were young, we had to go to the damn library.
Right.
Or talk to somebody who had already studied it, possibly a university or whatever.
Right.
But today, I encourage people, just look it up.
Right.
You know, but if there's anything that you can remember throughout the show and you say, okay, this book is good for this, you know, go ahead and recommend it to the people, because a lot of people do want to study and do want to find out. For an example, I had this one female that told me on Instagram, I believe, you know, I'm a Mexican girl. I was born in Mexico, raised here. Both of my dad from Mexico, but I felt that they robbed me from my culture. So I asked her, how so? She said, because we didn't keep any of our traditions. It was almost like my parents came over here and they wanted to live like Americans, even to the point where we were no longer eating Mexican food. We just switched up everything.
Damn.
Like we're here now in America, and so now we're Americans. So now that she's finding out so many things about her culture, she feels somewhat robbed.
Right.
So, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there listening that possibly do feel that way.
Right.
You know. Let's jump right into it. One of the things that people tend, at least from the outside looking in, tend to criticize you for is the flat Earth. Okay, people like he's a flat earther, the flat Earth guy. So now, how did you first hear of the flat Earth? Was it somebody that told you? Did you look into it? And how long now have you been believing that the Earth is flat?
So first of all, that whole, for people that call it a conspiracy, that was the one that was so hard for me, and probably the last thing that I dealt with for years to come to terms with that the Earth was flat, because I wasn't a flat earther, and when I heard it, I was like, man, flipping the dudes off, homie. Like, that sounds the dumbest thing that somebody can ever say is the Earth is flat, because we've seen all these pictures of this globe since we were the first thing in kindergarten. When you walk into that classroom, the first thing that you see is a globe.
Yes.
You see the alphabet. You see the dietary law that we're supposed to be keeping. All these things, right? And then you think about it, you know, NASA shows you so many things. You know, they've been in space and they're taking all these videotapes and all this and that, right? But when you what made me question even more is all the other things that I was looking up in life, you know, about these so-called Luciferians and all this stuff that other people worship and you know, these people that are involved in these occults, we'll just call them occults or whatever. These people are the ones that are the creators of NASA. These people are the ones that fly the space shuttles. These people are so-called astronauts. These people are so-called people that run governments. These people are the ones that make laws, and laws to specifically protect them. And it's like, dang, you know, like, if they're lying about all this other shit, like, what makes you think that they're going to tell the truth about this one thing? And then another major thing was our cultura. Our cultura doesn't state anything about these the way they're having us perceive it as planets.
Yes.
But we know them as planets. Like, they were energy. It's not something you could go, I'm gonna go fly to Mars and I could land on it. That's not true, you know. So you look at all these pictures that they put out, and there's not one single picture that's relevant. It's not real. They say renderings or CGI, computer generated image. So then you dwell into that. Okay, well, let's look up NASA. Well, what does NASA really mean? It's pronounced Nasa. It means deceiver, or the one that deceives, like a liar, essentially. Yeah. You know. So you get into that, and it's like, damn. Well, they're lying about that. They're lying about this. So now, well, you know what? Let's do some scientific experiments. And then you start doing experiments. And it sounds dumb, because a person that would look at me and they'd be like, okay, yeah, that dude's going to be doing experiments. Hell yeah, I did experiments. I did experiments at home. One on refraction that has to do with water vapor, the conduit, you know, in the morning that we get, or just the water vapor period in the sky that makes a sun look bigger or makes it look like it's going down. Because that's essentially when you ask, well, how do you know that the sun goes, that we're going around the sun? And the sun is, you know, in the middle of the Milky Way, or whatever they want to call it. They call it the Milky Way, right? How do you know that it's really, you know, going under or whatever? That's just the refraction of the water that you're seeing. That's not, the sun doesn't go anywhere. If you were to set up a camera system at the beach and film the sun never sets. It just goes further away from your perspective view. That's it. And you could zoom in as far, if you have a good enough lens, you could zoom into it and see it again. You know, there should be a curvature if they're talking about curvature, and then you get into flight patterns. You know, you flew to New York, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you could ask the pilot, do you ever maneuver your instruments for the curvature of Earth? You know, because you would have to if you're always at a downward slope, right? They never do. You could take a little what do you call it? A level. A little $1.99 level from Home Depot and put it on your window, and that level, the little bubble's never gonna move sideways, or unless you're elevating to go out to your plane. You're flying. It's air. It's called an airplane. What's a plane? A plane is a flat level surface. A plane, not a plateau. They don't call it an air plateau going over the curvature of Earth. It's an airplane. It levels out and then it goes down when you're landing. That's it. Right. It's simple. It's common sense, bro.
You sound very convincing, man.
Man, I could show you, if I were to show you videos after the show, then I mean, you'll be a flat earther by tomorrow, bro.
How long now have you been believing this now?
Well, how long not been believing it, but how long I've known it's fact?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Man, bro, it's been about 7 to 8 years now, probably, I guess.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of people that criticize you because you believe that?
But I love it though. I love it though because I was the one criticizing. I was them at one point. I was so argumentative. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what about this? And I don't mind, you know. I asked 1,000 questions too, and you should ask questions.
Of course, yes.
You know. So I just tell them, you know, prove me wrong. Come to my pad. Let's do these experiments together, and I guarantee you, I'll do a whole free back piece for you. If I can't convince you and show you the proof that the Earth is flat and that we're surrounded by a 200-foot ice wall, and the reasons for that, then you know I'll do your whole back piece for free, homie. Like it's crazy. Like I'm that I know that to be a fact.
Okay, you guys heard him, all right?
Yeah.
You guys heard him, so you guys got to call him on it. Yeah. No, but that's a good thing. You know what? Now I'll be honest with you. It's gonna take a lot to convince me because obviously you were there, so it's gonna take, you know, it's gonna take some convincing. You're not just to say overnight. Okay, cool. I'm a flat earther. I would definitely like to see, you know, a little bit more.
Right.
And I know we're just touching the surface, but I only heard of the whole flat earth thing maybe about 5 years ago.
Right.
Like I think it started getting popular around that time. At least for me it was, because I had some buddies that go to Christian church and they stopped going to church. So one day I just asked them, like, you know, what happened? And they're like, oh, I'm a flat earther now. Like, but why did you stop going to church? Oh, because they teach that the earth is round. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't think that makes that pastor a bad person because he believes that the earth is round. Maybe he hasn't received the revelation that you've received.
Right.
You know, give it some time, you know. But now, what would it take, you know, not that I'm trying to convince you,
right,
for you to go back and to believe that the earth is round? Obviously, scientific proof, correct?
Right.
Okay. Now, when they landed in the moon, I even forget the year, supposedly. Do you believe that was real?
That was fake.
That was fake? Okay, because there's still debate of people saying it was fake and it was real. I guess my question, I always thought, like, why would it be fake? You know, like, what would be the reason? Just deception to deceive people?
To show you that picture of Earth that they supposedly took.
Okay.
So when they're landing on the moon, right? The guy that first steps on the moon, what's his name? Armstrong?
Yes.
Okay, who took the picture of him? Who's taking the picture of them filming live when the space shuttle's taking off on the moon? It's crazy.
No, that's a good point. You're right. It gives you something to think about. You know, but fuck, you know, it's crazy, man, because whenever we can explain something, it almost seems like we say, oh, it's the government. I just like to be very specific and say, you know, when we say government, you know, who are we talking about? The post office? You know, I mean, obviously we're talking about the elitists. You were mentioning earlier the Luciferians, if you will.
Right.
People behind the scenes that are making things happen. And many times, do you believe when they say they hide things in plain sight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because part of their ritual is that they have to show you. They have to show you what they're doing. That's part of their whole program. They have to show you the truth, whether it's in movie, through music, through some sort of way. They have to show you the truth, and they do. They show you everything: the manipulation. They show you the kidnapping of children. They show you the drinking of the adrenal gland or adrenochrome. They show you a bunch of stuff.
You know, you had mentioned that the drinking of the gland you just mentioned.
Adrenalized blood. Yeah.
Okay.
Adrenal gland.
Is that the one that they give on little children?
Right.
Oh man. Let me tell you a quick story on that. Okay.
I can show you footage.
I believe that you can. I'm going to show you a story on. I had a guy here that was saying that Trump was exposing these elitists from that do this.
Right.
And he was going on and saying it. So what we did is we thought this will be pretty good. Let us make a short clip and just post that up. Okay. And the clip had Trump running with kids, and Hillary was chasing him looking like a witch. Okay, so that's the picture that we used. So this is to warn a lot of you podcasters: don't mess around, because they will do away with you. And this is what I mean by that. We started hashtagging baby killers, Hillary, you know, the government kills. We just did a bunch of hashtags, and when we pressed upload, okay, it deleted my whole page, bro.
Yeah, that's what happened to Mega Man. Mega Man got warnings that to not have me on his show. And they deleted his thing.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't tell you about that?
No.
Yeah, bro.
Wow. Well, what happened was they deleted my page and we were like, what the fuck? Like it was completely gone.
Yep.
So I went on my phone and I'm over here looking for Tony Vision. Nothing. So I told him, can you stop that upload? And he said, yeah. So he paused it. And I said, can you backtrack? Because we were shitting it, bro. That probably went on for about 20 minutes. So I was calling my buddy, look up Tony Vision. It's not there. Look up Tony Vision. It's not there. Can you backtrack? Yeah. And I go, bro, take off those hashtags right now, see what happens. And it says, no lie. You guys want to get your pages deleted? Do those type of hashtags. We took them all off, bro. There was maybe like 50 of them, bro. And by the time we took them off, uploaded it, everything came back up.
Yeah.
Everything. It's almost like you're not going to do this or try to expose this because we'll take you out. And that's what they did, bro. So, but I didn't know that thing about the whole Mega Man thing.
Yeah, bro.
Damn, they say knowledge is power, right? I always say knowledge is power when it is used. You use it and you share and you expose a lot of things. You don't think you could ever become a threat to someone?
Oh yeah, I get death threats all the time, but I don't talk about it. I mean, I'm not gonna go here and say because I'm gonna sound like I'm crazy or I'm out of my mind.
Right, because that's what some people would think.
Yeah, I'm just whenever the Most High, He wants me to be gone, then I'll be gone. But until then, I'm against the grain. Like forget that they've been killing our people for years, centuries, and it's like this is a time of prophecy where it's stated that our people will wake up, and we are waking up.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people come against me like, oh, marvelous this and marvelous that, or what's he talking about, or this and that. Well, you know what? I'll stay home. You come and do it. You come and teach the Raza. You come and give somebody a dietary plan. You come and tell somebody their true blood lineage, where they come from. You come and teach them about cultura. I don't have to say nothing, but I'm the one taking the time out of my day to do it, to try and help us live a little bit longer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Why don't you help along instead of talking smack? Why don't you help? Like you said, create your own podcast. You talk about something that you know about. But make sure it's fact before you put it out.
Yeah.
You're going to make an ass out of yourself.
Exactly. And that's the problem today. Because the small amount of Raza that criticizes and talk shit make up for hundreds of people, bro. And it just sucks that we do it to ourselves. My thing is this, look, and I'll just use an example. If they don't like what you're saying, number one, don't watch. Number two, if you think you have more information or you can just, contact him. Create your own platform. All you need is the internet.
Right.
You can go on Instagram Live. You can go on Facebook Live. You got YouTube. We have so many tools, and people would rather just criticize than just do it themselves. I learned this one quote real fucking quick when I started this podcast. It isn't that they're mad for what you're doing. They're just mad that it's you doing it. And I came out of nowhere, started the podcast, and started doing really, really well. People started watching. I had motherfuckers, why you? Well, I was gone for like 15 years. Anybody could have done it. Anybody could have done it, but people just wanted to, I'm not going to do it. I'm cool. But as soon as somebody like yourself steps up and shares what they believe, they want to criticize. But it's cool. And it comes with the territory. Yep. So now we talked about the flat earth. I wanted to touch a little bit on something that I know nothing about. Okay. Right. And this is where I learned the 9 lower realms. What is the 9 lower realms for somebody who's watching who may not know?
So the 9 lower realms are for people to, I guess, I'll explain it like this, in a biblical way, I guess. That would be the easiest way. Would be, there's heaven. People know it's heaven. A lot of people associate, there's heaven and hell in the Bible. There's no hell in the Bible, first of all. There's a lake of fire that the abominations will go to, but there's 13 realms of the higher heavens that's above the firmament. And there's 9 lower realms that are not under the earth. They're called 9 lower just because they're of lower frequency or bad energy. That's what those are, and they're named after they're named planets today, which you believe that are planets. When you hear about NASA talk about planets and them going to Mars or them going to seeing the rings of Saturn and stuff like that, those are not planets. They're called planets, and they're frequency dimensions. They're a lower frequency energy that the fallen angels have come through, those portals, and there's some that are open right now. There's You could, if anybody wants to check it out for themselves, and you could check it out for yourself, go get yourself a telescope. If you could get a telescope from the 90s that doesn't already have, it already has a chip that comes with it that shows you a picture of a reference that you're trying to see. Like if you're trying to see Saturn, it'll show you an image that's already been embedded into that chip. You don't want that. You want an original telescope that you could really see how these planets look. So there's a portal that they have named Nibiru. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I heard of that name.
Okay, so it's right by the sun, and they call it the second sun. But that's actually a portal that's open right now, and there's a lot of them opening all over the world right now. They're portals that they're opening, and this is stated in prophecy too, that they will open these portals that they won't be able to close. That a lot of them, and the last time that they were opened, well, they've opened some every once in a while, but the last time that like the Nibiru one was open was when the deluge happened, was with the Great Flood.
Okay.
So, yeah, bro, that's what the 9 lower realms are, and they worship all the energy that comes out of those things.
No, and that was my next question. So there's an opening, meaning opening being a portal.
Right.
That's what we mean, an opening.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Now, what comes through or what comes up from those portals?
Oh man, a bunch of bad shit out
Okay.
of the 9 lower ones. It's just a bad energy. A lot of like demonic shit, I could say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do believe, and we're going to get into this whole thing later on. As far as do you believe? You mentioned the fallen angels,
Right.
Okay. So are we talking about the same fallen angels that in the Bible states that a third was kicked out of the heavens?
Right.
And so do you believe that they're here?
Oh, they're here.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. There's 4 under the Euphrates River. You can look it up. And the majority of them are, this is what it states, and like the people that know about the book of Enoch or whatever, it states that they're in the coldest desert. So where would the coldest desert be? Essentially in the Arctic Circle. So we all know that we can't go to the Arctic Circle. Hitler had stated in some of his writings that he had found them and stuff like that. So where was he? One of his main bases was in the so-called Antarctic or whatever. So that's where I believe they made a movie, the Alien versus Predator. I don't know if you ever seen that one.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Where they go down and they find the pyramid that's down there.
Yeah.
That big ass pyramid. And, so they show you in movies, there's another movie, a good movie with Denzel Washington called Fallen. And they specifically talk about one of the fallen angels named Azazel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I believe that name Azazel is in the Bible.
Right.
I believe.
Yeah, he taught women how to adorn themselves. He taught men the art of war, all that.
It's funny that you bring that up because, okay, I saw both of those movies, Predator versus Alien. Okay, one thing that somebody told me years ago, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't believe it, but I'm starting to believe it now. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm late, on the train, but I'm starting to believe it now. That a lot of the things that they have done or are doing, they put it in movies.
Yeah.
And I guess that goes along with they hide it in plain sight. Like they're showing it to you, but you're not going to believe it because they're showing it to you.
They're desensitizing you.
Yes. So now when you go to Fallen, that's a crazy movie.
Mm-hmm. He touches you.
Yeah, he touches you.
Yeah.
And okay, now, and some people that I have seen in some Christian churches, they believe in praying for people and touching them for blessings or what protection or whatnot.
Right.
In that movie, it was to transfer something.
Right.
The spirit was hopping onto another person.
Right.
And Denzel was over here pretty much following this demon that was hopping from another person to another person.
Right.
I truly believe. Do you believe in demonic possession?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The reason why I bring that up is because I truly believe that some people can be demonically possessed and possibly not even know it.
Right.
I've heard people, and I'm not saying demonic possession, at least in the way I see it. We're not talking about The Exorcist, but kind of like that movie, on The Fallen. And go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One of the biggest, when you get into the spiritual realm or become spiritually awakened,
yes,
and you study what we're talking about right now, and this is where it becomes crazy when you study about it, and it literally wipes the scales from your eyes, bro. You're able to see a lot, everything. It doesn't matter what you're doing in your life, bro. The songs that you hear, the movies that are being watched, already that shit's already coming to your spirit that you shouldn't be. Turn that shit off. Did you hear what it said? You're able to pick up on all these subliminal shit that's going on and all and that. But one of the main spirits that's going crazy right now, bro, if you ever want to look it up, and it's a genderless spirit, it's called the Jezebel.
Yes. Jezebel is also one of the most evilest women in the Bible. Many people were actually referring to Hillary as Jezebel.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Jezebel spirit, bro, a whole narcissistic, sick, like perverted spirit, bro.
Oh, I know her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know her. And she's watching. Anyways, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to come right back. And I got some more interesting questions, man. I'm loving this because, you know what? I love having these type of conversations because the majority of the time that I interview people, we just talk about music. But eventually we will talk about music because there's some things that I need to share with you and I need you to share with us. For sure. So once again, call somebody, text somebody, slap the shit out of somebody, let them know that Marvelous Inc. is in the motherfucking building and we'll be back in 10 minutes. Don't go nowhere. blast off. All right, we're back, everyone, once again, and we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to go ahead and jump right back into it with Marvelous Inc. You having a good time?
I'm having a great time.
Awesome. Okay, so you know what? Just give a quick recap. We talked about many other things. If you didn't see it, go back and rewind it. But we talked about the flat earth. We talked about the lower realms. But I want to have a question, because I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit, because obviously you tend to think, and most people don't. Okay. Okay. I'm just, we challenge people that whatever you share, whatever I share, go and look it up for themselves.
Right.
That's what we never say, believe me, or do as I say, not as I do. But, research it for yourself. One thing about me is that I dream a lot. I pretty much dream every day. Sometimes they're horrific nightmares. Sometimes they're beautiful dreams. But I dream in high definition pretty much every night. Even when I take a nap, I have dreams. Do you believe? I don't know if you ever looked into it. Do you believe that sometimes dreams can give you messages or are messages, and sometimes dreams are just dreams?
Exactly what you said, bro. I believe exactly that our dreams are messages.
Okay.
Our messages or a form of prophecy.
Have you had anything? Have you ever dreamt of something? Well, let me ask you: are you a dreamer though?
Yeah.
Do you dream a lot?
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
You could ask my boys of crazy stuff that's happened. I don't believe in psychics or none of that. I just don't believe in that. And I definitely don't believe I'm a psychic about anything.
Right.
But I've had things that happened to me. I had a dream that affected me really, really bad one time. This dream was really, really graphic. It was one of the most graphic dreams. I'll never forget this dream. And the next day, I was never the same after that, bro. I had a gang of things that happened where I thought I was going crazy after this. And I had to start writing them down or telling people. So I started telling my kids. I told my baby's mom at the time, hey, look it, this is gonna happen. Like, watch, check it out. I feel like I'm going crazy and I need to tell somebody because, it's been happening and it started happening. Like, you guys, my kids, it's crazy, and they'll be like, damn, that shit did happen.
One thing about me is this, that I could probably count them on one hand and have maybe one or two fingers left over, maybe just one. When I dream of something and it really, really hits me, it'll stay with me like all damn day. Mm-hmm. It won't leave me. Then what happens is the next day I'll dream it exactly the same. And on the third day, it happens.
Oh, damn.
I see it. That's probably happened to me, I want to say at least about 4 times. And it's scary. It scares me.
Yeah.
Many times when I have a horrible dream, I always say to myself, man, I don't want to dream it tomorrow because I don't want it to happen. Mm. But I'll tell you what I do have. I have a lot of dreams about the future. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. I truly believe that eventually we're going to have a alien visitation.
Oh, that's happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy you said that shit.
I read something that threw me off, and it talks, last time you mentioned the Nephilim. Mm-hmm. Okay. For those of you that, and we're not trying to get into religion, but we're talking about the Bible, at least I'm talking about the Bible. Jesus' disciples asked him, what is it going to be like right before you return? Mm-hmm. Okay. And he said, as it was in the days of Noah, but here's the key, at least from what I understood, he said, before the flood. Mm-hmm. Before the flood, there's a story in the book of Genesis that talks about that the sons of man came down and went into the women and they had giants. Right. If that's true, let's just say if, okay? Because there's people that don't believe the Bible, but I think this makes a pretty interesting topic. Mm-hmm. If that's true, and right before his return, if you will, something like that has to happen. Right. So something has to come down. Right. And you talked about portals. Maybe I don't have it all correctly how it's supposed to happen, but that's my understanding of it. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar at all with that story?
Yeah, so the bloodline was manipulated, and they made a hybrid race. That hybrid race that they made is like, I call it like a second gen, but it's the shapeshifters, or a lot of people like and the Hopi Indians or the Cherokee, they talk about the skinwalkers. Oh. They're able to shapeshift into other things, right? And like that movie we were talking about, Fallen, with Denzel Washington, mm-hmm. he thinks by taking that spirit all the way over there, and there's no other humans that are in the vicinity, that spirit will eventually die off. But what happens at the end of the movie? It goes into a cat, or so it's like, It's a trip, bro. You know, I believe there's bloodlines that are manipulated, like in the movie, and it's a very good. It's not even a movie, bro. It's a documentary. It's called They Live, and I'm sure you remember that.
I think that was ahead of its time.
That was ahead of its time, and they even took it out of the theaters because of that fact that it was ahead of its time. But yeah, look what happens in that thing. Everything that's happening now today. Well, we are in the times of Noah. We do live in Babylon. We don't live in the United States. We live in the time of Babylon where anything goes. You could identify as an animal if you want to. You could be genderless if you want to. You could sleep. Men could have orgies. Men could marry men. Women could marry women. They're passing a law that protects pedophiles now. That's giving children the right to choose if they want to be with an adult. What the hell kind of shit is that? You could go into the women's restroom in Target right now if you identify as a woman. Is that right? Nah, it's not.
No.
You know?
I mean, and the sad thing is that we could say it's not right, and then we'll have the whole, community come against us.
Right.
Because we can't even believe what we want to believe now.
Right.
It's almost like we have to accept it, or we're like on the outskirts, like we're the weirdos now.
Yeah.
Today I walked into Target and I sent this to a couple of my friends. A little cat house with the pride colors. I'm not making fun of the pride, the movement, but I'm like, here's the way I understood it, and I may sound silly, and I may get crucified for it, but is a cat gay now? Like, so we got to give him a.
That's crazy.
Like that's the way I understood it. Like, I don't know, bro. And I know some people ain't gonna like it, but let's just keep it pushing. Okay. So you do believe that some dreams do have messages. For those of you that are out there watching, I know that is a question that I've got on my other podcast, Freaky Tales, where they would actually call and ask, do you believe that these are messages? Because some people get certain dreams, and they're not quite sure exactly what to make out of it. I do believe that there are some people. I'm not saying psychics. Some people that can or that know how to interpret dreams.
Right.
I haven't met one yet, but I know they're out there. Now, really quick, somebody they were asking about how do you, this is the way, I'm kind of paraphrasing the way they asked it.
Right.
How do you, I guess, bring together the Bible with our culture, our people? Like how do you mix that up? Do you kind of understand the question?
Right, I understand what they're trying to say. So a lot of people want to know how does the Mexica or our indigenous tribes have to do with the Israelites of the Bible, or how do I intertwine the both of them? Well, how I intertwine them, or I know about them, is through the hieroglyphs that are found in some of the stone temples that are actually in ancient Paleo Hebrew. They actually identify as being the same story. The same thing that comes from the Torah. But people have a hard time identifying with that because they say that the Bible is a European book, and it's not. If they were to study history, most of the European land were not even white people. They were what they would called black people today. And how do I say this? So I'm trying to articulate it so you'll be able to understand it.
Take your time.
But our stories that come from our time, all this happened before Christ. See, people are really visual. We watch these movies and or they see like Christian movies, and they'll see like, oh, Noah, the story of Noah, or the story of whatever, and you see all these white people playing these actors, and they weren't, bro. They were all dark brown people. Those are the real people of the Bible,
right?
And the migrations happened before Christ. It didn't happen after Christ. So people that don't study migration or how our people got here, like for instance, if you were to go to enroll in college right now and you were to study about our migration, a lot of the white professors, and I hate to say it in a racial way that sounds racist or whatever, but the white man has taught us that we come from we came from the Bering Straits. But our prophecy and our migration comes from cenotes, and it shows how we got here and how we came from the lower parts. We were already crossing the oceans before that. We were already here before that, And where do we come from? Well, essentially, we are the Israelites of the Bible. We are. We have the same traditions. We kept the same laws. We have the same everything. You could look at a lot of things today. The Cherokees still keep a lot of the laws that we're supposed to be keeping. There's an artifact that was found that the Smithsonian still try to dismiss it, bro. And it was hidden for a long time. It's called the bat. It's a piece of stone.
Okay.
But it's actually an ancient Paleo Hebrew that was written on there. You know, they talk about, even you brought up the Nephilim, right? The wars that we had with them, bro, how they were from the fallen angels. One of the last battles that we had against them or that race of giants was at Lovelock Cave in Nevada. And the Smithsonian, again, there they go. They raided the reservation, and they had a bunch of artifacts, the bones, the big ass skulls, all kinds of shit. Even the big ass not swords, but they had like battle axes.
Okay.
They took all that shit. They took it, and they said that they couldn't talk about none of that. They're not allowed to bring up none of the Nephilim. And so why aren't they able to bring it up? Why aren't we able to talk about that? Because that would prove that these are the sons of the fallen. That would prove that the fallen came from somewhere. Where do they come from? These portals that were open. That would prove that then there is a God and that there is a special people that are above other people. But now they don't want you to know that. They wanna make everything equal, and we're all equal people, and we should all love each other and all this and that. When Scripture says that we shouldn't, that we are to be separate. That's what holy means. Holy means separate. Look it up in Aramaic and Hebrew. You know, that's what the Torah comes from, where Scripture comes from. It was written in that language. But now that we read it in English, we have a different understanding because the words, terms, and definitions do not mean the same thing.
Very, very true. You know, that part is very, very true.
Yeah.
That's why when I looked into the Bible, I wanted to find out what, because George Washington didn't write the Bible. It wasn't written by an American.
Right.
Okay. I found out that it was written in Hebrew. Certain parts of the Old Testament was written in Aramaic. The New Testament was written in Greek. Only one time I heard, about 15 years ago, I heard this one guy, considered himself a Bible scholar. Whether he was or not, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But he said that there were certain fragments of scrolls from the New Testament found that were written in Hebrew, but not enough to say or to believe that the New Testament was written in Hebrew. So for now, he's just going that the New Testament was written in Greek. Okay. So I always tell people, if you want to, what I call glean or gather more from the Scriptures, look into the original language, the Hebrew or the Greek language, and get yourself some study helps to look into certain words. Because even though the English translation is good, but there's a lot of words that just don't mean the same, that as it would really mean in the Hebrew language,
right?
But no, man, I'm glad we're talking about this. Like I said, I know people are probably tripping out that we're bringing this up, but it's funny because I like what you said. We grew up looking at movies and they're all white actors, and it's funny because when we went to go see Passion of the Christ when it came out, okay,
right.
I'm walking out and I hear this one guy. He's probably about my age, and he was telling his kids. He goes, I was very disappointed with this movie. And the kids were like, why? And he goes, because Jesus didn't look like that. Listen to what he said. Right. This is probably something that he was taught as a kid, obviously, maybe from his parents or what he saw on TV.
Right.
He said, Jesus was like 6'2", and I'm walking behind him, leaving the theater. He was like 6'2", blue eyes, long blonde hair. And he goes, he looked a lot like Brad Pitt.
Hell no.
That's what and I'm over here like, wait, is there a camera around here recording this shit?
Candy camera.
Yeah, bro, but because that's what we were taught.
Right.
So that's what we're gonna stand on, But oh well. Okay, so now do your own research once again, how he, I guess, intertwines or bring together the Bible with our people, I guess, our culture. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about, it's something I want to touch on, but I'm trying to remember exactly how to ask the question. But as far as Torah, Torah being the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, the whole 39 books of the Old Testament, which the Hebrew people would call the Tanakh. Okay. Have you studied, for somebody that's asking, have you studied the whole Bible yourself, like from Genesis to Revelation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now here's another question that I would like to ask.
And you're talking about the Apocrypha as well, right?
Of course, of course.
Right.
I believe the Apocrypha was only included in the Catholic Bible.
Right.
Even though I have the Apocrypha, the reason why I heard, again, from what I heard, that they didn't include it in the, 1611 King James Bible,
right,
was simply because none of the prophets, none of the disciples, and even Jesus himself never quoted from the Apocrypha. So they felt that it was history, like it was real history, but not inspired by God to put in the Bible. So that's what I heard.
Right.
But it's good reading.
Right.
It's good reading. Now, as far as health, I know you wanted to talk about health in general. As far as food, I know earlier you talked about dietary laws and stuff like that.
Right.
Fill me in, like where do you want to go with this?
I think our people have been taught essentially backwards, just lied to. Period. About health. There's a great saying that they use, and they say, "You give me your child from birth to the age of 7, and I could rear him to be whatever, or mold him into whatever I want him to be, or indoctrinate him into whatever I want to manipulate his mind to
Yes.
think is good." So when you go into school, or our children, we send to school so they could be taught. We think that they're educating them on something substance, right?
Yes.
And what we need to learn as a people is that the beginning of wisdom starts at home with
Yes.
how our kids pick up everything like sponges, and then they'll go act that out on other children at school, So the dietary law that we get from school, like milk, is good. I seen a homie, I follow him. He I'm not gonna say his name, whoever, but I seen a video he posted up this morning, and it was him drinking milk. And he has his shirt off, and he's saying milk does the body good, right? Milk is one of the most toxic things to our body. Like it causes some of the most inflammation and mucus in our body, bro. That we shouldn't even be consuming that. That is not good for our bones. If anything, it's very detrimental to our body.
Yeah.
Our body is it's organic, and we need a lot of alkaline to sustain that organic matter. But they manipulate us into eating a lot of acidic foods. There's 2 minerals that the earth produces, and I talked about this before. It's alkaline and acidic. And the more acidic things that we put into our body never gets a chance to heal itself.
Yeah.
The food is what actually keeps us sick. From like if we get a cold or we get an STD, anything we get, the food is what's going to keep us sick, and fasting is another thing that's really important that we should do. It gives our body a chance to heal itself.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, we need to come to our alkaline state. People talk about the water that we're drinking and stuff. People need to know this. Any water that's still water, that's just still, you remove it, it's dead. It becomes dead. It needs to constantly be flowing. It needs to constantly be moving off the minerals and rocks that it's getting its electrolytes from. So we need people that want to drink good water. Google a spring, a natural spring near your home, and go get water from that spring and drink that, and put it in a glass cup, not a plastic container.
You know who is the most obese country in the world?
Us. Yeah.
Us.
Google. I just talked about that. Google a picture of the 1970s at the beach. There's not one fat person. There's not one big skin person, big bone person. It's crazy. It's crazy, bro.
Today we have hybrid foods. Like all the vegetables are all fake at the market. And I'm gonna tell you how I know. I worked 15 years at the distribution center in Rouse. Bananas don't grow year around. We ripen them. Okay. These tomatoes, bro. I've grown tomatoes. I grow my own fruit here. Okay. And growing up, we didn't call it organic. It was just all good shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Real.
When I eat a tomato from my home and then I get one that looks all waxy and fat from the market.
Right.
I slice this one. This one is much juicier. It's
Right.
much more rich than this fake one.
Yep.
This one will crunch even when you bite it, but it's fake. It's a hybrid fruit. We even got an apple that I tell people they're pretty good, but you know they're fake. They're called grapples. It's an apple that tastes like a grape.
Oh wow!
You know, but they make them.
Right.
You know, they because of the consumer. How do you say what is that word I'm looking for? Because we want so much here. For an example, have you ever seen those documentaries where a lot of these chickens never see daylight?
Right.
But once they kill them, they stuff them with steroids and they blow them up.
Yep.
You know, they could weigh more, they could sell them more. You know, because people, the consumer demand, that's the word I'm looking for. You know, and it's crazy that we are the most obese country in the world. You know, that's why we got, I hate to say it, all these fat chichones walking around because they don't take care of themselves.
Right.
Look, Mexican food to me is probably the best food in the world. That's just me. But it's some of the most unhealthiest food ever.
Definitely.
You know, and look, I like to eat pork every once in a while, but that is also bad for your body.
Hell yeah, it is.
You know, so look at a vending machine. A vending machine. What in the vending machine listing corn nuts, Oreos, Takis, you know, we could just keep going. What in there is good for us?
Not a damn thing. Maybe peanuts.
Maybe.
But look at all the salt that's in it.
I know.
All the sodium.
When you really think about it, it's like we're eating fake food.
Yeah.
Fake food.
I tell people go, well, what could I buy at the supermarket then? Well, the minute you walk into a supermarket, all the middle aisles, all that shit is made by corporations that's under a program called Agenda 21 made to destroy you or lower your life expectancy with some form of cancer. Oh, well, then what do I eat? Well, you go to the little organic table, that little tiny table that says organic, buy it from there. But we rather buy seedless shit. Our food has to have a seed, first of all. That's what it's organic. And, you know, we want to pick the bigger grapes and the bigger oranges and like, it's retarded, man. Like
the bigger girls.
Yeah. So. the bigger girls.
No, you know what? But no, it's very, very true. Okay. Like let's look at possibly what a kid might eat. Okay. Let's just say a kid in middle school. And I'm speaking to some parents here. I've seen kids, because there's a middle school right across the street from me, elementary and middle school right here, and there's a high school down the street. There's a middle school. We have a bunch of schools here in Wilmington, okay? So sometimes I'll get up there with my coffee and I'll sit right here on the porch. And I see kids walk into school with a big ass, not the small one, but a big ass can of Monster, you know, the kind you got to twist off the top, and a bag of Takis.
Yep, with cheese all up in there. Okay,
yeah. None of that's any good, okay? Then you eat school food, most likely it's not any good. Then you get out, you go to McDonald's and you get yourself a hamburger, you know, a hamburger, fries, and a Coke. None of it's any good. Then you go home and most likely eat probably a cup of noodles and crash.
Yeah.
Out of that day, what healthy food went into his body?
Not a damn thing.
Not a damn thing. And then you know what happens? We tend to say, diabetes runs in our family. Well, we're repeating the same cycle with our food.
Yeah.
You know, another thing, man, I'm glad you mentioned seed because I think that's very, very important. And I don't want to take too much of your time, but I do want to say this. When you read in the scriptures, okay, whether people want to believe this or not, look it up for yourself. One thing that was planted on this earth when it was created was seed. Seed grew. Say you have a tree with an apple. You slice that apple, you have a seed. Within that little seed itself, there's another tree in there with roots, with bark, with branches, and with other fruits. And it was created to reproduce itself. So you plant it and it grows again.
Right.
Okay. Then seed was put in animals for what reason? To reproduce itself.
Right.
Okay. Then it was put in us.
Right.
To reproduce it. You reproduced yourself. You have your beautiful children here.
Thank you.
Okay. And the Bible said that God said, and it was good. Because it was doing exactly what it was created to do. Okay. Now, when there's no seed involved and it's not producing, it is not good. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Right.
And I'll let the fans out there, I'll leave it at that. Anyways, let me see, what else? Was there anything else you wanted to add to that? We got a couple of more minutes before we go to break.
I think this, that, people want a good diet. First of all, we should only be eating one meal a day. The breakfast that we consuming should be like a hot tea that we're drinking that gets to relax our stomach muscles. We should be eating only around noon or 1 o'clock. And if you are going to snack throughout the day, make sure it's something organic, vegetables or some sort of organic fruit, you know.
Right.
And if you're going to keep it, store it in your house, since we like to buy like good quantity of stuff to have in our homes, don't buy plastic Tupperware. Have it in a glass Tupperware if you could buy that. I know a lot of us don't have a lot of money to be spending, but you know, don't have it in plastic. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm glad you said that. One last thing. I don't know if you've heard of this, or I'm sure you probably have, but there are some seeds now that you can buy and that you plant, and whatever fruit you get, you can't plant anymore. They genetically modified it.
Right.
Yeah, so for it not to produce anymore. And that's where I believe the world has become evil, because what was naturally given to us for us to plant and to reproduce. I want to grow tomatoes, you know. I want to grow some apples, but now my apples have no seeds, you know.
There's in Afghanistan, when the military went into Afghanistan, and this has to do with the seed. They had the second biggest seed stockpile in Afghanistan. It was warehouses upon warehouses of almost every seed that you could find, and that whole all those warehouses were destroyed, and the seeds were supposedly missing. Now, why were those missing? You know, what do you think they're doing with them? You know, I think they're modifying them.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. Imagine, man, all hell breaks loose, and we go into a cashless society, and now you can't buy anything from the store, you know, unless you follow certain rules. And I'm not going to go too deep into that.
Right.
You know what's going to be worth more than money? Seed. Now we don't need to go to the market. We just plant our own food, you know, but they're taking that out of our food now, where you can no longer produce. I mean, think about this. One last thing before we go to break. I know people are probably getting tired of hearing me, but it's okay. In the very beginning, if people tend to believe the story of Adam and Eve, they ate life, everything that grew from the ground, everything that grew from a tree. They didn't eat animal. Okay. It wasn't until supposedly when they got kicked out that they started to eat, you know, animal. Okay. So when you look at it, they were eating life. Okay. Whether it was broccoli, whether it was an apple, whatever. Okay. Everything that many people eat today is death. You want a hamburger? You got to kill it.
Yeah.
You want a chicken? You got to kill it.
Yep.
You got a cow? You know, whatever. You know, steak? You got to kill it. I guess it goes back to what you're saying: taking care of your body, put in the right things that need to feed your body life.
Yep.
Not necessarily, if you will, death.
Yep.
Even though once in a while, una torta de carne asada con todo is really good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, anyways, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and take a break, and I got 2 more subjects that I want to bring up, and then we'll hopefully take some questions. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and start submitting them. I'm gonna go ahead and have my boy right here write them down, and we're gonna get to them. So go ahead and submit them. Hope you guys are enjoying this. So we'll be back once again with Marvelous Inc. 10 minutes. We'll be back. Welcome back, everyone, to Roadium Radio, episode 256. And we're not going to waste any time. What we're going to do is, while you guys continue to submit your questions, we're going to try to get to all of them. We may take another break just in case to answer your questions. All depends on how long we take on this segment. Most of you guys were like, oh, this needs to be a 4-hour interview. I get it. You know, it's all good. And I could talk my ass off. But let's just jump into it, stop wasting time. Once again, Marvelous, thank you for coming. I'm having a great ass time. We're talking about a lot of things that in 256, interviews we've never touched on.
Right.
And I'm glad that, you're here for us to talk about. I want to start off with one quote, and it'll probably trip some people out on who said this.
Right.
He alone who owns the youth gains the future.
Right.
Adolf Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about music, because when I had Bandit here the other day, we talked about how we believe that movies can influence certain people, certain cultures, certain lifestyles to do things that they possibly normally wouldn't do, but they were influenced because they saw somebody do it.
Mm-hmm.
For an example, a whole generation was raised saying, say hello to my little friend.
Mm-hmm.
A whole generation was raised, only God can judge me. A whole generation was raised, as far as back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Mm-hmm.
And many times, I believe, that music could be a huge influence, sometimes for good, sometimes for bad. Some people listen to music when they work out. Some people listen to music, and you know what they end up saying? And I'm not saying this is the cause of it. This guy went and shot up a school blasting Marilyn Manson.
Mm-hmm.
This guy killed himself blasting Ozzy Osbourne.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I want to present the question. Do you believe that music could be an influence on a society, a culture, or a individual?
Most definitely.
Okay.
From the words that are being used, but especially in today's age, with the frequency that's being admitted to the masses, especially young children. So what I'm going to talk about right now about music is the frequency that is associated with that. Okay, if anybody wants to study, and I'm sorry I didn't get to name a bunch of other stuff that you could go into, but if anybody wants to contact me later on, or DM me on my Instagram, I'll give you that information. But here's some information on frequency. It's a man named Dr. Emoto Emir from Japan, and he's very studied. He's a professor. I studied under him. That teaches about frequency, radioactive frequency, and what it does to your pineal gland, where your frequency comes from. So a lot of people don't know that our body generates a frequency, an electrical current that goes down our 33 vertebrae, which is called our spinal cord. Every frequency that's being emitted to us, it's going to have a certain effect on us, giving us some sort of feeling. So feelings are essentially the frequency that's being emitted to you. So if I use certain words on you that cause certain frequencies, either aggravation or good frequencies, because there is good frequencies as well.
Yes.
It's gonna have a big effect on you. Whether you're gonna have anxiety after you listen to this song, whether you're gonna go into a manic rage, or whether you're gonna be at peace. Listening to rain, or listening to something that's calming, a calming frequency, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of frequencies are being embedded into these songs or albums, if you will, that we're taking in subconsciously. We have no idea.
Right. Okay. I want to share something that, once again, I want to encourage everyone to do your own research. Okay.
Right.
This story was told to me, and I researched it, and I found that out to be true.
Right.
Okay. The Eagles' biggest song, Hotel California.
Right.
Okay. A lot of people may not know who Aleister Crowley is, but Aleister Crowley is, Alice, can you change the, Aleister Crowley is someone who was considered to be a high priest Satanist, okay? He's the one that ordained Marilyn Manson, and then Aleister Crowley ordained Anton LaVey ordained Marilyn Manson.
Right.
Okay. This guy, Aleister Crowley, I was told that when they were about to turn in those 2-inch reels to the record company, the Eagles were, that this guy prayed over those
Yep.
those reels.
Yep.
Okay. Now, some people may say, oh, that's not true. That's not true. Mm-hmm. But now, if you look at that album cover and you open it, up on top, if I were to open it up like this, I'm trying to show everybody. There's a floor and then there's a balcony up here. Up on that balcony, they have a Aleister Crowley showing half of his face. Okay? He's there. So they're pretty much admitting to that. Okay? Right. Then you have... I think it's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club, the Beatles. They have a picture. They have many people on there, and they have a picture of Aleister Crowley there. Like, what does this high priest Satanist have to do with this music?
It's spirituality. They do these incantation in this ritual where they put this album in the north face of a room, and they bring about 13 witches along with themselves, and they pray incantations and bad demonic stuff into this witch cult, so it could have an effect. And it only works if you sing along to the song, because there's in scripture there's a hedge of protection that's upon the Israelites that they can't be harmed, because we carry the name of the Most High on our bloodline, which is YAH. And it's funny, when you study science, it is YAH,
the Yud Hey Vah Hey,
name of Yah. Yeah. So the only way it'll work is that no evil demonic spiritual thing can have an effect on our spirit unless we invite that into our spirit. So what's a way of inviting it? By saying the words that resonate this frequency, that opens that door or portal that allows these demonic beings to enter your spirit.
Right. There's probably record labels, if they listen, or artists that listen, that will probably disagree and will probably be upset that we're actually saying this, because I've known people now, whether they're true on their part, I don't know, but this is what they have told me. I can't listen to that group anymore, man, because every time I listen to that damn group, I want to drink. Every time I listen to this group, another individual, I want to smoke. I hate to hit the pookie to that group. And that's what they tell me. So paying attention to that, it was, they were allowing that music to have influence over them.
Yeah.
And in a sense, whatever they were doing was destroying them. Yep. They actually figured out that they had to separate themselves from what was causing them harm, if you will. Now, somebody may be listening and saying, oh, that's bullshit. Some people may be saying, that's true, because that was possibly me, Now, I just want to touch on something that may seem way off, but I want to give everybody where I got it from.
Right.
Okay. This is the book of Ezekiel, and it says chapter 28, verse 12. And this is what it talks about. Thus saith the Lord, you were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in the garden of Eden. Every precious stone was your covering. The sardius, the topaz, the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, the jasper, the sapphire, the turquoise, the emerald with gold. And it's talking about what Satan looks like on the outside. It gives 9 stones. So if you will, today we will translate that as, that was the bling. Okay. And then it goes into his innermost, what his organs are, if you will. The workmanship of your timbrels and pipes was prepared on you on the day that you were created. Now, many people will say timbrels, meaning it could be tambourine, it could be a drum, it could be a snare. Some people say that the pipes can be, all depending on your interpretation when you look at it in the original Hebrew language. The pipes could be an organ, some type of winded instrument, a trumpet, a flute, or whatever. So here he has, and once again, Ezekiel 28, verse 12. Covered in all these precious jewels. He was perfect. He was beautiful. And then he had music in his body.
Right.
Okay. One last thing, Ezekiel 28, verse 17. And this is why he was kicked out of heaven, according to the scriptures, whether people want to believe it or not. Okay, and I'm going somewhere with this, so please bear with me. It says, your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor, and I will cast it to the ground. So one thing, he was lifted up because of his beauty. Right. So now you can look at beauty. You look at the bling, and then you look at the music, and that's all of Hollywood today.
Yeah. And you look at every form of rapper, they're all blinged out. I mean, there's some form of
Right.
Exactly what you're saying.
There's a quote that I read many years ago, and I think it's true. A man that is empty on the inside has to decorate himself on the outside.
Fact.
Okay? Now, when a man gets into a relationship with a woman, I truly believe that man should be able to teach his woman something.
Fact.
Okay? I think the woman would love him more for teaching him something instead of buying her something. But today's the other way around. You know, now to a certain extent, I'm just going to say it. I do think that Hollywood has made evil look cool.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
You know, I mean, we look at movies and I enjoy these movies. You look at John Wick, this guy, pow, 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 pow. What did we see the other day in Buffalo? This guy's over here filming himself, taking real people down. You know, was that an influence? Possibly. We don't know. A couple of more things, okay? Isn't it funny that the first time, that the first time that music is mentioned in the Bible is in the book of Genesis. The first time that music is mentioned, and here's how it's mentioned, and I'm going to give you guys a scripture, you guys can look it up. Genesis 4, verses 17 to 26. And Cain killed his brother Abel. Cain's descendants is the first time that we hear music in the Bible. So here's a lineage from a murderer.
Right.
And it's the first time that we hear of music, you know, mixed in with a murderer's family. You know, now, I do believe that there's, you said bad frequency, good frequency.
Right.
Allow me to share this. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 14. King Saul was the first king over the land of Israel.
Right.
They wanted a king. They didn't want God to govern over them. They wanted a king. So, okay, cool. They chose a king. According to the story, he disobeyed God so much that God took his hand of protection, or took his spirit away from him. Okay. And an evil spirit came in and tormented him. This king was tormented.
Right.
And the only way he could ever receive peace and be comforted was when they found King David, a young boy that came with a harp and began to play, and he was at peace. So there is such thing as a good frequency music.
Right.
And that's my point. So yeah, man, if you guys want the scripture, look it up. But that was my study when I started studying the scripture, and I found that there was music in the scriptures. And I said, there has to be some bad and there has to be some good.
Right.
You know, but today, you know, isn't it funny that, and I'm not making fun of, you know, people, but today what's really helping is songs and lyrics that none of us understand really.
Yeah, we're just like the beat. Like if you took the beat away and you heard these dudes rapping, what they're saying, it's like, man, that sounds dumb. Like, what are they even talking about?
Very, very true. Okay. Now let's talk. I asked you this because we talked a lot about our culture. We talked about Mayans. We talked about food. We talked about the flat earth. But when I had you on the phone, I asked you, you know, because I was trying to get a feel for where you're at. What do you believe? Do you believe that there is a devil, that there is Lucifer, whether, you know, they call him, you know, Lord of the Flies, Beelzebub, you know, the son of the morning? Do you believe that a fallen angel named Lucifer exists?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think that he has the power that your mind gives him. You generate that power. You manifest his power into reality, into your life. You know, you can manifest anything into your life.
Okay.
Yeah, so you, like it says, you know, if you were to really see how he looked like, or when you pass away and you were to look at Lucifer, you'd be like, damn, I let that dude manipulate me? Yeah, you gave him that power. You gave it to him.
You gave it to him. Yeah, you know, it's funny. You look at an idiot like Charles Manson, and those people surrendered their will to him. Okay, we'll go kill. You know, and you know what it is? We were talking earlier about words. Do you believe that life and death is in the power of the tongue?
Yeah.
Okay. You can literally build up and encourage and motivate someone, or you with the same tongue you can destroy them.
Right.
You know, and this is why when people try to hate on me and try to come on my page, it means nothing. You're talking to a strong-willed person. Those words mean nothing to me. And then on the other hand, you have people that are pushovers, people that will believe it.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that these people prey on.
Yep.
You know, you look at Jim Jones that flew all those people to Guyana and told them to drink the damn Kool-Aid. But yet he himself didn't drink it. He shot himself in the head. You know. Well, anyways, I can keep going on and on. But one last thing about Lucifer. I know you said, yeah, there is. So do you believe that there is a heaven, that there is a hell?
There's a heaven. Not the hell part. The hell, that's a European ideology. That's not.
Okay, but you do believe that possibly, in a sense, that the lake of fire is possibly the hell that we're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that only goes towards the abominations, not. not a person that kills 100 people right here, that he's going to go to hell because he did that. You know, he will be put in his place, but he's not going to hell like that, like the way it's been depicted to us.
Okay. Now, if that's true, then somebody will be like, man, it ain't that bad. I'll probably go to the place he's talking about. Because if I ain't going to be in hell, I might as well just do whatever the hell I want. You know? But so do you believe that a person, that the bad that he does here on earth, he will be punished when he dies?
I believe that everybody is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Whether it's, if I used to ask the question of why does shit happen to kids? Or why does stuff happen to people that I didn't believe deserve that?
Right.
They don't deserve that. No kid deserves that in our eyes.
Kid.
But if Scripture is just and he's not right, and God gives the overall authority. Anyways, the devil doesn't make anybody shoot anybody. The devil doesn't do anything. God is the one that says, okay, I'm the one that gives life. I'm the one that takes the breath away. He's the final decision of if the sparrow's gonna fly or it's not gonna fly. So who's accountable for it? And then when you get into Scripture and you study the Bible the way it's supposed to be studied, precept upon precept, then you have an understanding of who the law was given to. So who's accountable for sin? Not everybody. The whole earth isn't accountable for sin because not all the law was given to everybody. It was only given to the Israelites to be an example to the other nations. And the other nations were meant were created to be destroyed. That's what Scripture says. That's not what I believe. Like, oh my God, you know, like what the hell? Reading that when you first read that, it's like, what the hell? Damn, that's what the Bible says. How come they didn't talk to us about that in church? How come the Reverend never talks about that part?
No, they only want to give you the Care Bear scriptures.
Yeah.
God so loved the world. The Lord is my shepherd.
Right.
You know, cream and wheat sermons. So that's what they want to give you because today's church, sad to say, has become a seeker-friendly church.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to make you feel uncomfortable because we want you to continue to come and give you tithes and offerings.
Right.
So I don't want to offend you, so I'd rather just make you feel good.
Yeah.
You know, I heard this one pastor many years ago say that the late church, talking about, I guess, in the last days, say that people today church today would rather have you feel happy than holy. You know, holy being separate.
Yeah.
Set apart.
Yeah.
You know, but anyways, man, people are probably going to think they're watching TBN right now. But you know what? It's good to have a great, intelligent conversation, man. And that's what we're doing. We never really give our fans, you know, this type of conversation. Some people it might be for some people. It may not.
Right.
You know, but I would be honest. I would rather talk about things like this that could educate us and then it can inspire us than just talk about a hip hop beat. Well, I like rap, but I also like an intelligent conversation.
Yep.
You know, so ask if your woman is sitting right next to you, how come you never taught me anything? You always want to buy me a Coach purse or something, you know. But I do believe that men should be able to teach their women something.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you this. Well, you know, maybe we should get to some of these questions. Do you guys have any of these questions yet? Norbert? Oh, you know what? Maybe you can give it to Alex. Alex can read them off. Let's get to some of these questions. Somebody put TBN is demonic. So.
Okay. First question is the connection of ghost and the 9 realms. How do they relate?
Are you familiar with that?
So the ghost that they're asking about, the ghost, I don't know about how he means it in the 9 realms, but ghosts or any spirit that's here, and I'm only stating from Scripture, those will be abominations. Those can't break the firmament or go to any sort of judgment. They're bound here to the judgment till they will be cast into the lake of fire. Those were never supposed to be made. God didn't make them. There's animals here that are hybrids. There's people here that are hybrids that were never supposed to be made. There's also fruit and vegetables that weren't supposed to be made that are hybrids.
Some people actually believe that Chupacabras, if he's real, that he was a hybrid.
Right.
And then some people believe, remember for a while they were cloning animals.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, they still do.
Yeah, but they weren't supposed to. Now, do you believe that there's humans today that are clones?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You got another one?
Yeah. What does he think about chemtrails?
What do you think about chemtrails?
Chemtrails, now there's been a lot more stuff, but what I know in the beginning with chemtrails they were spraying us with aluminum and barium and other sorts of metals that we breathe in. That they act as a conductor to the frequency that's being admitted to us, so it works better. It's
Okay.
like putting a rod inside of our body. It's the frequency is going to be admitted to us better, especially if our brain or our pineal gland is calcified through fluoride.
So eventually, that's something that will take a long-term effect on you, I guess.
Oh,
It'll
yeah.
eventually kill you, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The other question is, how real is the Book of Enoch when it comes to the Creator?
A lot of people don't believe in it for whatever reason. Because I study science too, I believe in it because of, if I were to explain the planets to you and show you videos on the real, how they really look, it matches perfect up with the Book of Enoch.
Okay.
Also, some of the other the apocrypha that has been removed from the Bible, it lines up perfectly.
Okay. Let me say something about the Book of Enoch. What I had heard.
Right.
And I'm going to go once again with what I had heard.
Right.
That the reason why it was not included in the actual Bible, even though there are some disciples that actually do quote from the Book of Enoch.
Right.
Okay. It's because they never actually found a scroll. From it. So they cannot confirm that the Book of Enoch that is out today is the actual one that existed from the one they were quoting from.
Right.
So that's why.
All right.
So,
Okay, another question is, how does he feel about the Afrocentrist pushing the Hebrew Israelites? I don't know. I'm not sure if I use the right word.
No, you're right. So, a lot of people have a problem with what I say about Israelites because there's a movement. There's two movements. There's the Israelites that is a combination of so-called Latinos, Hispanics, and another one that's just pure Afro-American that believe that the tribe of Judah is the one that will get to enter the kingdom of heaven and not the other 10 northern tribes, which would be Latinos and Hispanics. But where I've learned that history from is not from so-called Afro-Americans or the ones that you see on YouTube. I learned that actually from tribal members here that actually we do have the same laws. And when I studied migration, the migration lines up perfectly with us being the Israelites of the Bible. And plus from the stuff that was destroyed, or they tried to destroy the Spaniards when they came, raped, robbed, and pillaged. There's still fragments left. Like I said, one of the stones that was that stupid wannabe. What's that? We were just talking about it, bro. The Smithsonian.
okay.
They try to hide everything. That's where I get my knowledge from. Not the Afro. Trying to say that we're all blacks or whatever. People like to say, oh, he's getting it from the blacks or he's getting it from the the Afro Americans and shit like that. That's not true.
Okay.
Okay, next question is, why do UFOs appear by Mexican volcanoes?
Well, first of all, another answer. Do you believe that there is unidentified flying objects, UFOs, aliens?
I believe in and know that most of them are government.
Okay. Earlier, when I said that I believe we're going to have an alien invasion, that's what I was referring to. That it wasn't from up there; it was from here.
Right.
It was like a hoax.
Yeah.
To make us think that, that's what I have dreamt. So I came from a father that believed, not marcianos, son humanoids. That's what he used to call them.
Yeah.
And he even believed that one day Jesus Christ was going to come back in a UFO. And then when I got older, I started thinking that would be a good way to manipulate people.
Yeah.
So okay, I don't know if he answered the question, but
yeah.
Okay, yeah, and the next question is, it says, ask Marvelous about the image of Jesus according to the Catholics.
So that image is a man named Caesar Borgia. He was Pope Alexander VI's son. He was also a pedophile. He married his own sister, killed her husband. That's not the real Messiah.
Yeah, but that's something that, like that man was talking about. He was 6 foot tall, tenía el pelo rubio, los ojos azules. Parecía Brad Pitt, so yeah.
Okay, the next question is, do you believe that, we're in the ending days?
Well, yeah, I guess the last days.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say it too. I believe so too. Okay.
Do you believe that the vaccine is the mark of the beast?
It's hard to say that one, but I do know that there's nanotechnology in the first one, in the first jab. I just like, you know, people ask what you're putting in your body. When I share people that come, you know, they get tatted, I share a lot of information with people, and when I show them what they put in their body, I mean, a lot of them, you know, especially girls, break down. Like, they have no idea what they're putting in their body, and a lot of us don't ask questions. We're so trusting and believing that, you know, the narrative that's being pushed is true, and you know, when you find out that it's not, and that there's another agenda behind what's going on, your mind is blown away, and it kind of gets you mad, you know. But you don't want it to be too late, you know. But know what you're putting in your body.
I want to share something on that, because if there's one thing that I shared with you last time, that when it comes to biblical prophecy, that's my cup of tea. I know it very, very well. Now, in Revelation chapter 13, when you want to read that, it talks about bowing down and worshiping the image of the beast, or else, and if you don't receive the mark of the beast, you will not be able to eat, buy, trade, sell, whatever. Right. Okay. Let's be honest. There's been a lot of preludes to that are getting people used to. What is that word that you're saying when we get people used to it?
Desensitizing them.
Yes. Okay. For an example, let me just go back to 90s. We had the low jack alarm. Right. They would put a chip in your car. Okay. They can kind of guarantee your car back for like within 15 minutes, or at least to locate it. Yeah. Then he had info pet. They put a chip on your pet, so if it gets lost, we could find them. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a credit card. Sometimes that piece of plastic is worthless. It's just that piece of chip that's right there. Right. Okay. We have, in a sense, entered into a cashless society if all we do is pay with our cards. Right. Okay. Now we got Venmo, we got Cash App, cashless society. That's where we're going. And eventually, like, let's look at another prelude or another example, the vaccination. Okay. You're not going to be able to enter unless you have it. Right.
You're not going to buy, because it's called the RFID identification. Yes. Chip, and what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to identify you getting sick, what your what do you call it, your symptoms would be, and stuff like that. So it's supposed to download to a mega computer that's going to give doctors a heads up before you're even sick, and you know, medical personnel will be at your door and stuff. But it also is a form of ID, and it's going to have all your money in it. And under the new guidelines of the New World Order, which we're already in, but it's not like it's not, how do you say it?
Like it's full blown yet?
Yeah, full blown yet. If you do not have it, since it is your form of ID, and you do get stopped, you're subject to search, seizure, and arrest. Right. Because you have to have that.
I mean, think about this. I mean, on the good side, I wouldn't take no damn mark of the beast, but because you're not going to be tricked into it. You know what you're taking. Okay. We enter into cashless society. No more counterfeiting. Okay, right. I cannot stick them up. Give me all your money. There's no more of that. Okay, I can no longer kidnap somebody and ask for a ransom. Right. There's no more of that. Right. There's no more, if you will, drug dealer on the street. Give me a 20.
If you owe money, it's already deducted. Taxes already deducted. Tickets already deducted. Right. You're not going to be able to have start any smart device either. You won't be able to go within a 5-mile radius with your car. You're going to have all kinds of sanctions that, oh, you were looking up this, or you were doing this on your computer. They're watching every single thing.
And they're pretty much doing it because when we talk, we turn on our phone. What pops up? What we've been talking about.
Everybody's going to be stuck on this on their metaverse at home. You know, all this dumb stuff.
Now imagine older parents that have Alzheimer's, and they just stray. If they have the chip, or or whatever the market's going to be, we know where they're at immediately. If a kid gets kidnapped, we know where he's at immediately.
And they make it so you want it. Yes, that's the manipulation of it.
That's the manipulation of it. But you're not going to be tricked into taking it. You're going to know what you're taking. Now, this go ahead, because I'll just keep talking my ass off.
The next question is, how did you meet Chino Grande?
What the?
How does that?
I don't know. That was
How did I meet him? I've known Chino for a minute. I've known him since we went to Sure High School together. That's all I gotta say about him. Wish him the best.
All good.
Okay. Next question is, what can we eat then?
Organic matter. Yeah.
Grow your own food.
Yeah, grow your food. You know.
Grow your own food. I mean, I grow my own beer.
Chill. That's what's up. That's right.
I grow my own michelada mix.
That's right.
They want to know about his thoughts on Santa Muerte.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
I don't like none of that, bro. That's not that has nothing to do with our people. That's I don't like none of that, bro. I don't associate with that. People ask me for tattoos that have to do with that. That's opening the door to a host of demonic shit, whether they want to believe it or not. You know, you got to do sacrificing to that. There's a lot. It's a brujeria, like, you know.
I do believe you. I agree with you on that. There are certain doors. Let me say this: you should not open.
Mm-hmm. You can't close them.
You know, so.
Okay. Another question is what he thinks of the Orishas, Orishas, Orishas. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. It's probably spelled wrong.
I don't know, bro.
Okay, and then what does that say, bro? The bottom one.
Oh, so Liberace was evil?
Was Liberace
Well,
evil?
we're not saying because people wear jewelry that they're evil. We're not saying that. You know. So I want to say something about the scripture that I gave you. Somebody may say, okay, Tony, that's your interpretation, and this is my response. I didn't interpret anything. I just read it.
Right.
Well, Tony, you read it wrong. Oh, then you read it.
Yeah.
You know,
You tell me what it is.
Yeah,
You tell me what it means.
We're not saying that. Go back and rewind that, man. We're not even going to entertain that. Anyways, Norbert, is that door open? So.
Orishas is a supernatural group.
Orishas is a supernatural group?
Yeah, supernatural. It's usually referred to as deities of the Yoruba religion.
Oh, deities. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not familiar
I'm
with
not
that.
familiar with that one either.
A lot of people also for a while in the 80s and 90s it was popular, and it was mostly common amongst street drug dealers. Jesus Malverde, but now it's almost like he's overshadowed now by Santa Muerte.
Right.
So I don't know. It's probably the same old devil, just a new rapper on a different.
Yeah, they're all deities.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't. Anything else you guys have? Go ahead, brother. If you got any, go ahead.
Believe in hollow earth.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you believe in the hollow earth agenda?
A hollow earth agenda? It's not an agenda, but it's real.
Okay. Well okay. Can you elaborate a little bit on the hollow earth? I've never heard that.
So the hollow earth is real to my knowledge. It's where a race of so-called reptilians live, or their hybrid race lives. There's big ass cities. There's in the United States. Most of the countries are connected. They're underground, and they go to the hollow earth. There's big cities down there. They're all protected by military bases.
And are these cities created by people, or they have been there since?
They've been there for centuries, bro. They've been there.
Now, I guess my question is: were they created by man?
No, they were created by them.
Okay.
There was an old show, bro, back in the 80s. I forgot what it was called.
Land of the Lost.
There you go.
For real?
You remember them? Remember that?
With Chaka.
The reptilians. There you go.
Now, do you think reptilians walk amongst us?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody made a YouTube video. I'm not saying this is true, but somebody made it that President Obama is a reptilian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how true that is. Do you believe that there's actors and politicians in office that are reptilians?
Fact, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Any other questions, you guys? If not,
There's one that they keep asking. What does he think about Sumerian and Anunnaki?
what do you think about Sumerian and Anunnaki? I know what a Samaritan is according to the scriptures, but
Well, those are just other names for the fallen.
okay.
That's what that is. They'll keep giving them different names, bro, to keep you confused.
Okay. Well, one thing I want to say that the sad part is that most people that would disagree with us and without doing their own research, these people get their theology honestly from A&E channel. Mm-hmm. They'll get a white guy in a suit with a Benny Hinn haircut, and they'll put Bible scholar, and then they'll believe it. See, he said it right there.
Yep.
He said it right there. He's a Bible scholar.
Yep.
And that's what they'll believe because they'll never research it for themselves.
Facts.
Okay. I have two more questions and then we can bounce. You brought up the book of Mary Magdalene. I had heard about it. I just didn't know if that was ever true. Mm-hmm. Is that real?
I believe it to be real. She stated what happens when we pass away.
Okay, and what does she say?
So, she doesn't use the word orb, but we come out as an energy, and we're able to see the spiritual realm.
Oh,
the battle. It says that these demonic beings that are all over everybody, all of us subconsciously, there's a holy battle going over your head right now, over the choices and everything, your thought process, your dreams, everything that you're going through. They're battling over your subconscious right now, and we're able to visually see that when we pass away. It says the demonic ones will try to reach for us, but they have no authority through the Most High, and that we begin on our ascension to our judgment, where we are judged, and our karma is then placed on our seed line when we're down here on earth. So everything that your son is going through is from whatever your dad, whatever sins that you have gone, that's going to be placed on him.
Okay. I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I'm going to be frank, because I don't want people to think that I'm just agreeing with you.
Right.
That is probably one thing that I would probably have to look into, because I've always been 1% skeptical of the word karma.
Right.
I've always believed it the way I read it. Mm-hmm. You plant good seed, good seed will grow. If you plant negative seed, bad seed will grow. It will come back to you. The only issue that I've ever had is that the passing along that my son has to pay for what I've done. Mm-hmm. But
so I'm sorry, bro.
No, go ahead.
You've grown up in your life right here in this area,
yes.
Right? And you've gone through certain shit that you've gone through. Is there any time in your life where you could say, "Man, I don't deserve this shit"?
Oh, of course.
Why did this happen to me?
Right.
So where do you think that karma comes from?
I just think it rains on the just and on the unjust. It happens to good people, happens to bad people, happens to everyone. Maybe that's just the way I see it. So I'm not gonna, but that'll probably be the only one that I have a hard time with, and I'll tell you why.
Right.
And this is not a debate, but I just want people, the fans, to see a different perspective.
Right.
And I asked a Hindu this because he was trying to teach me on karma, and I was allowing him, but he said, "Oh, you know what?" He said this: "We don't like Christians going into our country and trying helping us because they don't allow us to deal with our karma." And I said, "So what are you paying?" He goes, "For what my ancestors did." And it was passed down to me.
Right.
So I just asked him this: how much do you owe? Who do you owe it to? And how do you know when you've paid it? And he couldn't answer. So that's why I kind of hang on to, like, okay, I'm going to hold off on that. But I'm not going to totally just disagree with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, because we have to have an open mind if we're ever going to learn.
Right.
So that's it. I just wanted to give everybody two sides of that. What was the last one? Oh, yeah. My last one is this, pretty gnarly, because I never used, that's the first time I used the word gnarly on Roadium Radio. But since we believe we're living in the last days, do we believe that there is an Antichrist coming, a man that is going to be ruler of planet Earth?
Right.
Do you believe that there is? Okay. And do you believe that he's alive now?
Yeah. I believe he's already been born.
Okay. And I can agree 100% with you. Yeah. Okay. And other than that, man, you answered my question. That was a question for me. Anything I didn't ask you, anything you want to share, anything you want to touch on? Because we touched on a lot.
Yeah. I want to just emphasize on people that are watching and stuff like that. Don't be so quick to come against people that are trying to bring wisdom or knowledge, if you want to call it that. People could call what I say, frivolous, or it's not substantiated by any facts, or it's conspiracy or whatever.
Right.
I highly the way I educated myself was I asked a lot of questions, the same questions that you're asking me right now, the same way that you're thinking that I'm probably nonsense, or maybe you don't believe or anything like that. Prove me wrong. Debate people, ask questions, read for yourself. Don't just trust somebody that comes up on a podium telling you something just because he has a name tag and a lab coat, that he's telling you the truth, because most of the time that's not fact. Just think of it like a doctor. If a doctor cured his patient, he would never have any patients. So learn for yourself. And let your spirit, you know right from wrong, just like as a child. If somebody's telling you the truth. If somebody's lying to you. That you weren't supposed to put your hand in that cookie jar. Study for yourself, and don't be so quick to talk out the side of your neck without knowing anything. A lot of people like to just say, oh no, they don't know what they're talking about, or this and that, or I know the truth, and well, you're the one that's sitting down on your couch watching me try to spread wisdom. You come on a platform, or you start your own platform and bring wisdom to the people that are around you.
And and I applaud you, number one, for telling the people to do their own research. Mm-hmm. We never want to be the type of people that say, just believe us. Mm-hmm. I've already researched it.
Right.
No, we don't. We want people to learn for themselves. We want people to come with an open mind and ready to learn. But at the same time, if you feel that you need to challenge us, in a sense where, like, I read this, what do you think about this? Because it kind of goes against what you believe. Then maybe we can learn together.
Yeah.
And I'm open for that. So I know a lot of people say agree to disagree, and that's cool, but do your research before you speak.
Right.
So other than that, man, any shout outs, anything, man? I don't want to end. I can keep going, but like I said.
No, just shout out to all the people that requested this conversation, and I appreciate you. I'm very humbled to be on your show again. It's a privilege. Shout out to my boys. Love you guys, always. To my homie I brought with me, Focus, always. Good ass photographer. And yourself, Tony. Thank you for having me, homie. Man. Appreciate that. And the crew right there, the wrecking crew, we're gonna call them.
Yeah.
The editors.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Other than that, like I said, guys, I don't want to end this conversation. I love it. This man is very knowledgeable, and I'm thankful that he comes on my platform, and if you will, we break bread, and you guys get to listen and learn and watch us. And once again, we encourage you guys to do your own research. That's one thing that I'm going to continue to push. Also, I want to give a shout out to Norbert. I want to give a shout out to Alex Cervantes Enterprise. I want to give a shout out to the Hip Hop Jedi. I want to give a shout out to my son, Be Scanless. Also to, again, the live chat, everybody who's tuned in, everybody who's like, comment, subscribe, whether it was positive or negative. We appreciate you tuning in. Once again, if you guys were not there watching, I would not be here. So I am only here because of you guys. And that's what humbles me, that you guys would sit there and watch me. So once again, thank you for allowing me into your homes. Once again, Marvelous. Hope this is not your last time. Maybe they'll want a part 3, and we'll come up with some more great topics. Thanks. So part 3. Okay, you guys, you know what? God bless. We'll see you guys later. Wednesday, I have another special guest, and even Sunday, another special guest. So let's keep it coming. You guys have a blessed one. You'll call somebody, text somebody, slap the shit out of somebody. Let them know that Roadium Radio is live up in this biatch.
You got it locked on Roadium.